$450,000 falls to the bottom line that is unallocated, even after we pay all the debt service on both issues. In addition, the budget for redevelopment has another $340,000 that's used for special projects that might come up through the year. So if it was a particularly bad year, you would have one year of formal debt service, a year and a half of informal debt service that we're putting aside, $450,000 that drops to the bottom line, an additional $340,000 that is available if we had to make some drastic moves. So that's pretty safe up to that point. Now the question always comes up is what impact would the state have? And so in the report I've listed to you, as you may recall, the state tried to take $540,000 and the courts ruled against them. So the next year they were really punitive, and it was about $2.7 million that the redevelopment had to come up with. If they were to do it at the $550,000, continue that, then we could use the surplus and fund that. So that level, although it would have major impacts to us, it still wouldn't threaten your ability to pay the debt. And if you saw the state budget for the proposed gap, no additional takes from RDA were included. So that's a good sign. But if they were to take it at the current year, at the last year's level of $2.7 million, what I've listed is what the payment represents to all the jurisdictions in the county. And as you can see, it would essentially bankrupt every redevelopment agency in the state. For example, if you look, the city of San Diego, $56 million. No one could afford that each and every year. There's another $20 million in San Marcos. So these payments couldn't be sustained, and the state would just absolutely ruin every redevelopment agency. So it's hard to believe that they would do anything that drastic. It's not unrealistic that they would stay at the $550,000 level, which you could sustain. So with that, we're next council meeting we'll have the entire official statements, and Standard & Poor's will give us our rating, which will affect how much we can borrow and at what interest rate. And we'll have all those documents. But we thought it was important that you feel comfortable up front here before we get to all the formal documents on the risks that you'll be undertaking. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions.
Do I have any initial questions on this item, Ms. McCoy?
I just wanted to know, the money taken by the state, we're not going to see the color of that money again, are we?
Well, it's on appeals, and I don't know. There's a lot of the city attorney may want to speak to it, but there's enough in the initial judgment to maybe hold up some hope. So I wouldn't. We're not banking on it coming back, but clearly, it was a very liberal interpretation that it can be used for any purpose, and there's some economic benefit no matter what you do. So
it's infuriating because even apart from the redevelopment funds, we've managed really well. We're one of the few cities in the county that got our heads and shoulders above water.
Yeah.
And if they keep nickel and diming it, so that's huge nickel and diming up here, we're going to be in very deep trouble. There won't be discretionary funds for us to spend on things that we need to. And I'm worried that we may not have enough to keep going with police, fire, and streets, public works.
Yeah.
So this business of taking money from us over time, I'd be very unhappy if Prop 22 didn't pass, because that's really important to stop the hemorrhaging of money that we will work hard for, to have it snatched from our grasp at the last moment. So,
Ms. McCoy.
but it is originally, we are lending them the money. That's what I wanted to clear up.
Not for the redevelopment. The redevelopment is a grab. What they took from our general fund was a loan, and then we essentially
it back. No.
Well, the loan was repaid, or essentially we sold our accounts receivable ticket on that loan and got our money back. So it was a relatively mild impact to the general fund. So we've already sold that promise for the state to pay, and so
With or without interest?
we just got our money back, right? But we only were out of money for about 3 months, I believe. So it wasn't a very long period of time. That
Some people tried that. They thought 3 months of their money was played at no interest.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we went into a state pool that bundled this and sold it, and we got our money. But the emphasis, I think, because some people get it mixed up, is that was a loan that the state was supposed to pay back. This is gone. If we lose the court cases, it's gone.
And that's why Part 22 is I didn't read that.
Right. Oh no, Prop 22 covers all sorts of state.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it includes redevelopment.
Yes, oh,
it
yeah,
includes
yeah.
redevelopment.
If we get any more benefits, we wouldn't be able to.
Well, that's the purpose of the stated purpose. I put my money on the state's creativity to find a way around it, but that's, it's trying to stop that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do I have any other questions for Mr. McCrane on this item? Not seeing it. For the general public, there's an item in our report that I think is very important, and it basically states that redevelopment agencies are financially different than cities, whereas cities relatively adverse, like our city is. The city itself doesn't have debt. Redevelopment agencies are required to have debt. In effect, that's the idea behind eliminating blight. And if a redevelopment agency does not have debt, then the agency would be required to return the money back to other various agencies, whether it be states or counties or whatever it is. So, I mean, contrary to what some people might believe, we are required to go into this bond market and do it this way because of the way the redevelopment laws were laid out. And, we could technically chip away at projects over time. We've been able to use larger chunks when we bond like this, but it's really more of a state requirement under redevelopment law that requires us to go out to the bond market and borrow.